for all of my projects, whether boxes, Christmas ornaments, plates, whatever, I buy them in the kind of as the product, and then I just add the carving. Um, and when I buy them, they come in this state, so all the edges are really sharp. Some of the end grain is pretty rough. So there's kind of a lot of sanding that needs to be done for my projects. I like to knock these corners off so they're not so rough. But generally, I also don't round them completely. I make them just so they kind of still seem square, but you don't necessarily feel the edge too much. And that takes a little bit of time, but it's not too bad. And the sanding part is kind of necessary for applying the pattern and finishing and stuff anyway. But one thing that I like to do is rounding these completely. It produces a nicer look, a nicer feel, and I think for some products that makes more of a difference. Things like a box or an ornament that are meant to be held, you're going to be kind of experiencing that more often. But I recently tried it out for the first time on a wedding plate. So this is kind of what it normally looks like when I finish it. You can see still has that square edge. And again, kind of just softened the corner, but nice flat edge. And then so the front is completely flat surface. And this is the recent version that I did where it's all rounded over and smooth. And this was kind of just a practice go to see what kind of a difference that makes, and if I thought it was worth doing, kind of see them side by side there, the difference. And I think it's a bit too subtle in my opinion. I really like the feel and the look personally when I see them side by side and I hold the plates. I think it's a lot nicer product, but if I were going to sell plates with that as an option or doing it completely, I think I'd have to charge extra because it does take quite a bit of extra time to do that, to round all that, and then also sand it. And in a case of something like a wedding plate where it's mostly just decoration, it goes on a wall or on a stand or something, and you mostly just look at it. People aren't picking this up and looking at it, and they're focusing more on the carving and stuff. I don't think they're going to notice the edge. And so in this case, in my opinion, it's not worth doing for this. The extra cost, I'd probably, based on the time and stuff that it takes, would be another $30 or something for the plate to round that. And I just don't think people are going to be that interested in paying $30 for this subtle change that doesn't really make a difference. I did it, I don't know, a year or two ago on Christmas ornaments as well, just to get the difference, and I kind of had the same question of, is it worth doing? I think that might be worth doing, and then just kind of add a couple bucks into the cost of the ornament. It's a cheap enough product, and like I said, people are going to be handling it, so I think it makes more of a difference on that compared to the wedding plate. So that's just kind of one of the things that I think about, that I'm trying, that I kind of have to make a compromise, to make the best product that I can. As a craftsman and as an artist, I like this look, but when it comes to, and so that might be something I do for my own products or gifts or something that I want to do, but when it comes to kind of more the business side and what makes sense to spend my time doing, as well as cost for customers, I think that's something I'm going to forego on things like decorative plates. Again, boxes, ornaments, that'll be something that I consider doing, perhaps depending on the cost of the product, if I think it warrants that kind of nicer touch.